Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about the price to pay for ignoring the truth. First, would you consider subscribing, giving the thumbs up, and hitting notifications so you won't miss any of my future videos? Now, this is usually the time of the year when I post a year in review looking retrospectively at the last 12 months with respect to anti-Semitism, Bible prophecy, and Israel. Unfortunately, uh, the way it's been going for the last 2 decades, I have not lacked stories to tell, lies to expose, and truth to teach. Is 2023 any different from the previous years, and is it significant for our civilization? The answer can be found in the events of October 7th, 2023, when Hamas committed the brutal murder of 1,200 Israelis in one day, incidentally the highest Jewish death toll since the Holocaust, and also took over 200 hostages into Gaza. Now, October 7 was not just a devastating terrorist attack in Israel, but it was an existential attack on Western civilization. Going forward, everything changed. So let's go back in history a little bit to kind of set the stage here. Some 60 years ago, Yasser Arafat, the Egyptian-born leader of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, started planting the seeds of historical revisionism in the Middle East. His then far-fetched approach to the Palestinian people being refugees in their Israel-occupied land did not take root immediately, but the seed, nevertheless, was planted. It has been watered by liberalism and an increasingly Marxist-leaning left faction. Additionally, it is being fertilized currently by postmodern social justice militants around the globe, ignoring the true meaning of the genocidal motto they chant so proudly on the streets of the planet: from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. Fast forward to 2023 in the Middle East and the rest of the world by proxy, and the roles of victims and perpetrators have been switched. This reverse narrative, founded on lies and historical revisionism, has now fully blossomed, and the world is buying it. No questions asked. The result of this is an exponential hatred of Israel and the Jewish people in the entire diaspora, the dispersion globally. Now, historically, this is just another conflict in the Middle East, but biblically, it is one of the last few bricks in the foundational wall of the end times. The world is currently being conditioned for the final chapter of his story before the return of the Messiah to establish his millennial kingdom. And just as the Bible predicted, it will all hinge around Israel and Jerusalem. Zechariah 12, Ezekiel 36 through 38. But really, is Zechariah 12:3, and let me quote, "It will come about in that day that I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples, all who lift it will be severely injured, and all the nations of the earth will be gathered against it." Is it to be taken literally? Of course it is. We should be concerned and heavily burdened for the Jewish people globally. Not surprised. Keep in mind that if Zechariah 12:3 is to be taken literally, then Zechariah 12:9 also is to be taken literally. And I quote, "And in that day I will set about to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem." Close quote. So is the world truly guilty of willful ignorance? Are all the nations going after the Jewish people? Or am I just a conspiracy theorist seeking cheap validation from the world? After all, maybe the way that people are looking at the Hamas-Israel war is accurate, and maybe I am biased toward my own Jewish people. Or is it possible that the world is again joining the bystanders of yesteryear and looking the other way? Well, Jewish people have been slaughtered in Israel and are being demonized everywhere else on the planet. Being a bystander in that situation would be bad enough, but I fear that many people are also turning into perpetrators, and that 2023 will be remembered as the year that changed everything for Israel and for the rest of the world. So I want to give you some examples of events that have taken place around the world. Amsterdam in December 23, pro-Palestine leaflets were dropped in a shopping mall accompanied by an announcement on the PA system about the genocide of children by Israel in Gaza. No mention of the 1,200 Israelis butchered by Hamas first. Paris and the suburbs, November 2023. Stars of David were painted on Paris buildings to identify where Jewish people lived. Very reminiscent of the pogroms in 1938, Kristallnacht in Berlin, Germany. No mention of the 1,200 Israelis butchered by Hamas again. China, October 2023, internet anti-Semitism is at an all-time high. Sydney, Australia, October 2023. A pro-Palestinian rally took place at the steps outside of the Sydney Opera House, where chants were heard of "Gas the Jews." No mention of the 1,200 Israelis butchered by Hamas first. London, October 2023. A man was arrested for tearing down posters of the Israeli hostages in Gaza, claiming that they were spreading false information. No mention of the 1,200 Israelis butchered by Hamas first. In United States, December 2023, Harvard President Claudine Gay would not condemn Hamas and claimed that context had to be considered when calling for the genocide of Jews. No mention of the 1,200 Israelis butchered by Hamas first. She, by the way, still holds her position as president of Harvard. So, did the world turn against the Allies? That's the question I want to ask. Did the world turn against the Allies when they joined forces to obliterate the Nazi regime? Were the poor Nazis, quote unquote, the recipients of global humanitarian aid, and did they become the poster boys for social justice, activism, and resistance? Of course not. So why is the world still rooting for the terrorist organization that is Hamas and continuing to demonize Israel? Well, simply put, this has everything to do with the Bible and God's final plan for the ages, which hinges around Israel and the Jewish people. If you're still on the fence over the infallibility of the Bible and the existence of God, now would be a very good time to trust both, as we are seeing all the predicted events falling into place like never before. If we trust the Bible, and we should, then God will never completely forsake Israel. Jeremiah 31, 35 through 37. And he will catch up with all our enemies, as we read before, Zechariah 12:9. Unfortunately, there will be great casualties as two-thirds of the Jewish people will perish during the tribulation, the time of Jacob's trouble, as we read in Zechariah 13:9. Before that terrible event takes place, Christians have a great opportunity at the present moment to redeem the past and alter the future by exposing their Jewish friends to the true Messiah, Yeshua of Nazareth. Isaiah 52:13 through 53:12. See, according to Zechariah 13:9, that one-third, two-third, the number of casualties can be reduced since God only gave us a percentage, not an exact number. That's important. Sadly, the world is ignoring the truth about the Hamas Israel war and about who God is and his promises to us and Israel. The Bible also tells us that to become part of God's family for all eternity and to be spared the upcoming great tribulation, we must put our trust in the finished work of Yeshua, who gave his own life as a ransom for ours, was buried, rose again, ascended to heaven, and will physically return one day to reign on earth from Jerusalem on the throne of David. Friend, if you're looking for a New Year's resolution, why not trust in Yeshua today if you never have before? And if you already are part of God's family, why not support Israel in 2024? There has never been a better time to embrace the truth about God and the truth about Israel. So looking forward to 2024, looking forward to what God is going to do and how we are going to do whatever we can to be on God's side. Happy New Year. See you next year. Shalom.